Let's talk about Velvet Buzzsaw. Velvet Buzzsaw, written and directed by Dan Gilroy, the director of Nightcrawler and of Roman J. Israel, Esquire. Starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Rene Russo, John Malkovich, Toni Collette, and Stranger Things, Natalia Dyer. When I first saw the trailer for this movie, I was in no way blown away, but I was at least intrigued in another collaboration between Gilroy and Gyllenhaal. It was because of Nightcrawler that I allowed myself to have a little ray of sunshine and hope for this movie, to at least have a few redeeming factors if in the end it wasn't all that great. But I was wrong. This weird satirical horror movie that can't really decide what it wants to be honestly offers nothing besides a good idea, great acting from Gyllenhaal, and 2 cool shots. I was literally able to count. Positives before I start ripping. The opening credits to this movie are pretty cool to watch. Just a bunch of art while the names float up. It's nice. Jake Gyllenhaal's acting in this movie was obviously tremendous. The man did a fantastic job. The core idea at the center of this movie is actually somewhat interesting to me, and obviously one of the best pieces of art in this movie, the Hobo Man.
I can't save you.
Unfortunately, that's pretty much it. Negatives. Starting with the characters. All of them paper fucking thin. No development, no chemistry. The emotions between some of the characters would just fluctuate so abruptly and without explanation. All the acting here was fine, but it was the characters themselves that sucked. John Malkovich's character was the best and least utilized character of the entire movie in my opinion. And of all the major characters in this movie, he has the least amount of screen time. Even to the point where they literally just drop his character like halfway into the movie and never bring him up again. The writing here was okay at best, but it definitely could have used some work. Editing. Fuck. Editing was noticeably bad for the most part in this movie, to the point where I was actually removed from the movie because of a transition or an edit that happened about 2 or 3 times, and that's terrible. The storyline and plot are the film's strongest points and the least developed. It's like Gilroy had an idea one night for this movie and started filming the next weekend after he called Jake. He's like, hey, you want to be in my movie again? Just like Annihilation could have been fleshed out and developed more, this movie could have done the same exact thing, but tripled. The explanation of everything was just so weak and half-assed that it felt like Gilroy was trying to figure it out himself as he went along. As the movie progresses, it shifts from a wannabe indie artsy film to just a generic stupid horror flick of today's cinema.
Truth or dare.
All deaths in this movie are dumb or just plain laughable. Toni Collette.
Oh my god, spoilers!
Speaking of Toni Collette, what the fuck? I hated her character. How about the art aspect of this film? Because that's a big part of it. Unless you're really into today's art style, you'll probably find it hard to enjoy a lot of the art that's being presented. That being said, there's still quite a few pieces throughout this film that are sprinkled in there that you watch and you see and you're like, hey, that's not bad. Another problem I had with this movie is that it was just too clean. I mean, I understand for this type of film, it should be very clean and modern, but it is just too polished throughout the entirety of the film. At no point does it ever get dirty. This movie never allows itself to delve down into the real darkness, both psychological and physical. And it really hurt the movie as a whole, I believe. With all the big problems that this movie has with some pretty big technical shit, at least the soundtrack was fucking amazing.
I'm just fucking kidding. The soundtrack was shit.
Oh my god. There is not one memorable piece of music from the entirety of this film. There should be something here besides just a little piano in the background. To me, this movie just thought it was more artistic and better than it really was. I could see a cool artsy thriller coming from this movie that's both enjoyable and incredibly creepy to watch, but Gilroy only dipped his toe into what could have been and just took it and said, yeah, this is enough, let's go make a movie. Instead of trying to bring more to the movie and truly delving deeper into what possibly could have been one of my top 10s of the year. In the right hands, this could be a good movie. I'd be interested to see what Nicholas Winding Refn would do with this idea. All that considered, I give this movie a 4 out of 10. It was a bad movie with a good idea. This should have easily been a 7 out of 10, and it could have been an 8 or maybe even an 8.5. That's all I got, folks. Have you seen Velvet Buzzsaw? If so, what was your opinion of it? What's your opinion on Netflix's quality of films that they've been releasing lately? Let me know below. Remember that this is just my opinion. Later.
Because it's